So now we're live. So welcome to the All Things 80s live stream. And I think this is number 5. And today I'm joined by longtime subscriber, Patreon member, and very generous gift donator, Anthony. So hey, Anthony, how are you?
All right, Dane, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. And it's nice to be able to actually talk to you face to face. As people would have seen in a number of my previous videos, you have been more than generous with some of the donations that you have sent to the All Things 80s channel. So to be able to see you face to face and actually say to you thank you is a wonderful thing, and just blown away by your generosity.
No, it's no problem, and I enjoy doing it, and it's this part of this community. You know, you can share. I think Tony at Analog Toys said it was like when we were 7 or 8 years old. Your friend had a toy that you wanted, and y'all traded. Yeah. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And as I've said this many times, actually, this whole toy collecting community, it's just, I've not met one person that I didn't like. Everyone is just so generous, so friendly. And the best part is that even though we may be thousands of miles away, we can all chat like this and share our memories of the 80s and childhood, and just all in all, just have a really good time of it. And especially in this day and age, it's nice to be able to escape the hardships of reality and just go back to a time when everything was just so carefree. And the fact that we can share these experiences with each other, it's a wonderful thing, really. It truly is.
And it's amazing to me that, like, you being in, overseas and us being over here, we still have the same type of toy lines, and that we could still have a connection with that. That blows me away.
Yeah, that's it. Because there are definitely certain franchises that were popular all over the world. Obviously, the main one being Star Wars, but certainly Transformers, Masters of the Universe, Mask. I think every kid in every corner of the globe at some point played with those toys. And the fact that here we are, three and a half decades later, still talking about these toys is testament to just how good those toy lines actually were. I often, as I mentioned in a recent video talking about why I simply cannot collect Black Series, I'm in Walgreens all the time to see what they have, and virtually there are no more toy lines that jump out at you. I can't think of anything in the last, 5 or 6 years that I've looked at and thought, wow, that's a really cool looking toy line. Ultimately, it's still Star Wars and Transformers that are the popular sellers.
Yeah.
I just wonder if there are things that kids today watch on TV and play with. I suspect not. I think it's all probably iPhone and iPad games kids are playing with. So.
Yeah, my daughter Ainsley, who loves she loves your accent, so she'll watch stuff with me just because of your accent. She watched that Netflix She-Ra. When I watched it with her, it was actually pretty good, and she was wanting toys for that, and they never made anything that I ever found. So she was kind of disappointed on that.
Yeah, it is a shame because, like you said, when we were kids, whatever you saw on TV, you could then go to the toy store and buy that. Everything was for sale. Even some lesser lines, which escape me right now, but whatever cartoon you were watching, you could get a toy of that cartoon. And also as well, it was very easy to get toys back then, because aside from the dedicated toy shops, where I grew up, my small village had a couple of resources. One was a newsagent shop, who would, aside from selling the morning newspapers and candy, they had, albeit a small selection of Star Wars figures, but nevertheless, it was Star Wars figures. And we had another place, it was like a supermarket on the ground level, and upstairs sold everything, and they had a toy section. So even in a small village in Scotland, you could still buy Star Wars figures. Whereas, sadly, nowadays, that's no longer the case.
No, I mean, in the late 70s, early 80s, they were everywhere.
Yeah.
And you go into like True Value Hardware, and they had Star Wars figures. And Otasco and places like that, just all over. You couldn't get away from it.
That's
so
right.
We lived, even in Germany, when I was in Germany, we had them over there. So I mean, it's crazy.
It is. And I keep, people are going to be sick of me saying this, but where I live in Brooklyn, partly because of the COVID situation, but a lot of businesses have shut down, two of which were, whilst they weren't necessarily great toy retailers, they did sell toys, one being the Century 21 department store. They're out of business. And the TJ Maxx, they've gone. The GameStop went out of business. So literally now, my only resources for buying toys are Walgreens, Rite Aid, and Duane Reade, and they have nothing. So you can imagine if you were a kid with pocket money living in my neighborhood, there's nowhere to spend your pocket money. So I imagine things like Google Play and Apple Store are getting all the kids' pocket money these days because there's nothing, there are no physical toys out there to buy, which is just so sad. It's actually quite depressing.
Yeah, I miss all that. I miss walking in and looking, and you got, I mean, the whole aisle is just lit up with card backs that just jump out at you. Even if you don't know what it is, you're looking at it going, what is that? You know, the Clash of the Titans figures. I remember looking at that. I don't know what this is, but I'm buying it. And then the movie came out, so. I still remember so vividly. So in Scotland, obviously, Edinburgh is the capital city. And where I grew up was only 7 miles south of Edinburgh. So for special occasions, we'd go into Edinburgh. And they had on Princes Street, which is the main, street in Edinburgh, there must have been at least half a dozen places that sold Star Wars figures. One in particular was this retailer called John Menzies. And I can remember you would go down the escalator, and on the left-hand side was this wall. It must have been at least 10, 20 yards long, just of Star Wars, the boxed vehicles, all the figures. And it used to be quite an ordeal trying to pick one figure because they had virtually the entire line for sale at any given time. And you had, I think it was probably £1.50 or something to buy a figure back then. And I remember my mom saying, would you hurry up? Because I would just be thinking, I want this one, but I also want that one. And maybe I could get this one. And there was just overwhelming choices. And when you think about how things have gone full circle, and here we are, 2021, I can't even find one Star Wars figure for sale. It's when I go to Walmart and stuff, I just always hit the toy aisle anyway, look around. They still have like Snoke. Supreme Leader Snoke. That's the only one that's ever there. They can't give that guy away. No, and I've seen on Twitter the sort of people are sort of now shaming Hasbro, where they're posting pictures of the empty pegs in like Walmart, Target, etc. And someone somewhere is at fault for this, be it Hasbro or be it whoever orders supplies at Walmart, or distributes, Target, or however. Someone somewhere has screwed this up big time, and it doesn't seem to be getting addressed because this has been going on for months and months. I've seen these pictures every day. You open Twitter, it's another store somewhere in America with just empty shelves, nothing out there. Yeah, it's a complete different time now. It's crazy. Yeah. So I guess before we move on, I better address some of these comments. All right, let's do that. Thomas, see you in a few hours. Wow, that was a very early comment. There's Jack who was on last week. Yeah, I enjoyed that one. That was really good. I think that's a wonderful thing to know, that once we're dead and gone, there will still be people caring about these toys from the 80s. As soon as I subscribed to him, I was unaware of who he was. As soon as he was on there, I jumped right on there. So awesome. Yeah, he's a good guy. And speaking of young guys, this is another young guy, I think still in high school, who loves Star Wars. And of course, the username right there, 1980s and Star Wars guy. Love it. Great guy. Yeah. And there's Tez from Roland's Reviews. I'm telling you, I laughed with the Lady in Red Snaggletooth the other day. I laughed and I will never listen to Krista Berg again and not think of Snaggletooth going around. I crack up. I know. He cracks me up. Yeah. Oh, man. Although I got to say, I was watching
I've been doing a bit of research, hopefully for something coming up in the summer, where I'm going to be talking about 80s music and everything. And just watching Chris de Burgh, how different things were back then, where Chris de Burgh was on TV because of his musical talent, not because he was a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, he was a real dorky-looking older gentleman on top of the pops, playing, doing his thing, whereas nowadays it seems it's more about the looks than it is about the musical talent. But
Oh yeah. You familiar with the Professor of Rock? You ever watch his
Yes.
YouTube channel? He's actually in the hospital right now. I hope he gets better. But man, his reviews and in-depth stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he dives down deep and gets to interview all those people, and I love hearing the stories of all those songs.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. Yeah, I love that stuff. Yeah, Adam Reeder he's a stand-up guy.
Yes. And there's Jack's there too. Oh, here's Tim. Hey Tim. eBay is the way to go for loose Star Wars figures. Yeah, sadly, it's because for me, that's the only resource I have for vintage Star Wars figures. I think, because even prior to COVID, I am unaware of any vintage toy shops anywhere close to me. There are no yard sales as such. Although a couple of weeks back, it was a beautiful day. So my wife and I went for a walk and we came across a charity shop. And I thought maybe I'll get lucky and find something. So walked in, saw they had some toys. It was just bags of modern junk, nothing vintage whatsoever. But the problem is as well that because everyone has access to the internet, the people that run these charity shops are able to look up prices, and they'll know themselves nowadays that if they get a blue snaggletooth, that it's worth a lot of money, and wouldn't put it up for 50 cents, which used to be the case prior to the internet.
But see, I'm like you. Around here, we go out all over the place. Me and my brother Andre, we go out. My cousin Randy, he collects too. We go all over the place, and we hit all the flea markets and the charity shops like that. Anywhere we can go to try to find stuff, we go out.
Right. Yeah. So Tez is saying kids seem to spend all that money on V-Bucks for Fortnite skins nowadays. It's not even physical toys. No, it's not. It's like I said, in Walgreens, actually, all these pharmacies, they sell the gift cards for Google Play and the Apple Store. Yeah, that's probably where all the pocket money is going these days. Yeah. Hey, it's Will. Morning, Will. Up early in New Zealand. Yeah. Hey, Tim. I'm guilty of buying V-Bucks. I'm a young teen. All of my money goes into my collection. That's just wonderful. Yeah. So glad to hear that. That's fine, Jack. You don't smash TVs like my son. Punch a cushion if I get angry. Good man. I don't think Hasbro cares. They're so corporate controlled, they don't care. No, but that's the thing, though. But they should care because it's affecting their bottom line. If they had the product on shelves, they would sell more and therefore make more profit and keep their shareholders happy. They seem to be going out of their way to not do what is basically common sense.
Yeah, but I think since they have the market cornered pretty much, they know people are going to come get it. I think they just they have that attitude of, well, we're going to sell it anyway. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
that's how it seems to me. Yeah. I'll keep thinking of that. I'm hearing it in my head right now.
eBay is good for Star Wars figures. The prices have gone up a lot yet. Found the Facebook groups really useful as they are sold at reasonable prices. Yeah. The only problem with the Facebook groups are I don't think I would be particularly welcomed, given that I have no issue whatsoever with repro. Maybe I'll need to look into that. It seems funny in a bad way that in the UK we can still find Black Series figures in our toy shops, but you cannot find them anywhere else. Yeah. But again, because I'm not heavily involved with Black Series, I don't know every figure they ever made, but I get the impression they make a lot of figures that are not necessarily popular characters and make too many of those and don't make enough of the good characters. So all that happens is the crappy characters are left on the pegs, and stores can't order more stock until those ones have sold.
Yeah.
It's just everything is ass backwards. I'm thinking of getting an R2d2 Lightsaber from Stan Solo, but my dad insists on getting an original. Well, this is where me and your dad differ. I have one, and it's brand spanking new. It's sparkly white. The clicker works. The sticker is immaculate, and it cost $40, as opposed to an original, which more than likely will have a browny yellow sticker that might be peeling. The chrome might be chipped, and it's going to cost hundreds. Just my opinion, but I say go for the Stan Solo.
Now, I have an original one with a repro saber in it, and then I bought the droids version from Stan Solo, and then I bought the Uze one from the Fans Strike Back because I just love the way those colors are. So
yes. Whatever makes you happy, whatever fits your budget. There is no right or wrong answer here. Even Kinder Egg surprise toys are now sold with a virtual scan code, so the kid lays down the toy from the egg and then goes on their phone. No, that is not cool.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I
used to like those Kinder Eggs.
Oh yeah, those. I still remember the day I was in primary 6, so I would have been, I guess, 10, maybe 11 years old. And one of the toys was the actual Kinder Egg man. And one of my friends had it. And I thought it was the coolest little figure ever. And I kept getting a Kinder Egg, could never get that little character. And then one day in primary 6, I finally got him. Man, I was so happy just to get this little free toy. And of course, delicious chocolate. It was like the best of both worlds with Kinder.
Yeah, that Kinder, we used to get the Kinder Schokoladen in Germany.
Yeah.
Man, that stuff. That's why I was a pudgy kid when I was growing up. I ate that all the time.
Yeah. And in fact, I think in America, the proper Kinder Eggs are banned by the FDA because they do not allow non-edibles contained within an edible.
You might be right.
So in America, they have Kinder, but one half is chocolate and the other half is just the plastic thing. I think it's a weird way they do it.
It's like the tin foil. It's got like a little spoon sitting on top.
That's right.
And then the toys on the other side.
Yeah. Thanks for the ongoing great content. Oh, you're welcome. It's an absolute pleasure to do it. Great channel. Thank you. Probably my favorite among many good. Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you. Go with Stan Solo. Very good. Absolutely. And then Tim, Kinder Eggs, I always get at Walgreens. I think CVS Pharmacy sells them as well. I think they just keep them in the candy section. Yeah, they do sell them in America, but what we are getting in America is not the same as in the UK and Europe, unfortunately. But in saying that, I have bought an American one and wasn't particularly impressed with it because, like you said, Anthony, it's more like almost like a chocolate paste as opposed to a chocolate egg with that little plastic spoon. So, yeah, all these strange rules and regulations. Hey, how are you doing? Yeah. Hey, Dave. There's A Up, Mr. Vintage. One of my favorite channels. Thank you. Yeah, so I've got a couple of questions written down to keep the conversation going.
I got my stickers.
Awesome. So have you picked up anything for your collection recently?
I just finished Predator from 93, 94. I needed one of the laser shot ones, and I had to get it from off eBay in like Europe. So I like we talked about, I paid about $24 to get it, but it was complete. And that was the only one I could find because all the other ones were all the new NECA stuff, and I don't really like that. So I got that, and you know me, I'm out looking all the time. So I pick up stuff like this.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah. So I get that, and then I grabbed to see everybody knows who this guy is.
I don't recognize that.
Let's see if the chat can figure out who it is.
Yeah.
They should be able to. Actually, Melinda at Retro Blasting will want that. Because it's a Stallone figure from Over the Top. They only made one big one like that.
I see. Right.
So,
yeah. I've actually got a couple of things. So this arrived this morning. This is Skywarp. And
all right.
This came from the UK. And the ironic thing was, this itself was $40, but the shipping was $24.
Yes,
it's obscene.
Well, I did pick up this too. So, close.
Oh,
and
Bespin.
This one's graded, and you know how I am with my Bespin guards. So, I just passed 70 with them.
Wow.
So. But I still only have 4 of the other one. I can't find the second guard anywhere.
Yeah. And then this I got not for me. So I was thinking of cool stuff for a Patreon giveaway. And I saw these in Walgreens, which is a Walgreens exclusive. And it's the Falcon and Winter Soldier. They call it Mini Mates. I thought they looked quite interesting. Again, this was one of the few things for sale in the toy aisle. Not a particularly pleasant sight when you walk into a store and they have 2 or 3 things hanging up in the toy department. It's pretty sad, really. So aside from vintage Star Wars, are there any other toy lines that you particularly like to focus on?
Well, I have almost every He-Man. I need 4 more figures to complete He-Man, and that's the 2 Laser Light, which those are like Italian exclusives. And the Giants, I'm not worried about them. And then the 2, there's 2 rotating ones, Rotar and Twistoid. If I get those and Eternia, I've got everything.
Nice. So are you do you currently collect the modern Origins line of Masters of the Universe?
I got the ones that I think that Super 7 did with the Filmation style because I love the Filmation cartoon. So any other ones, like especially the Beastman, because Man at Arms and Beastman were my 2 favorites. And I did get the Origins one with the mustache for Man at Arms because I always wanted to paint one on, and I never had the guts to do it. So I got that just to have, but I'm really partial to the Masters of the Universe stuff. Between G.I. Joe, they fight for my second place.
Right.
Because Star Wars is 1, but them 2 fight for second place all the time. So some days I'm more He-Man, some days I'm more G.I. Joe. So it just depends.
I think for me right now, there's no question that my number 2 is definitely the Transformers. But I think a lot of that is just to do with the availability of reissues and knockoffs, because it's been so easy to amass my collection thus far. Whereas back in the day, in the 80s, I went from doing Star Wars immediately into Action Force, and from there into Transformers. Now, sadly, with Action Force, with that being a UK European thing, very hard to get hold of in America. And as a result of that, I've not pursued my interest simply because everything Action Force, or 99% of it, is for sale in the UK. But when you add in these ridiculous shipping costs, it's just not worth. It's not worth getting into. It's become cost prohibitive. It really has. And in fact, the other week there, for my Corgi Juniors superhero collection, the Spider-Man Spider Van, very hard to come by, but I found one for sale in Italy, of all places, on eBay. And the van itself, I think, was something $40 or $50, which is quite a lot, but it was the only one I could find. But the shipping of like 25 or $30, I really had no option because it was the only Spider-Man van that I could find, and I was forced to pay that shipping price. And that's why I've been apprehensive about getting back into Action Force, because I know that I'm going to end up spending more on shipping than I am the actual figures.
Yes.
And it just doesn't seem, there's no point in doing that. Whereas the reason I was able to really embrace the Transformers line was the fact that Hasbro, since the early 2000s and as recent as last year, maybe even this year through their Walmart reissues, have been reissuing the classic G1 line. Plus, as I mentioned, the Chinese knockoff market it really is fantastic. The quality of these things is top notch, albeit the stickers aren't so good, but they're very easy to come by. And as a result of that, I was able to really dive in and get a really good Transformers collection going, whereas the other toy lines that I'm interested in, another one being Mask, another one that has never been reissued, and to the best of my knowledge, there are no knockoffs of Mask. But I think for me, it's definitely obviously Star Wars #1, Transformers 2, probably Mask and Action Force are tied for third place. Now, do you collect Mask at all?
I've got like the Turbo Hawk, and then I've got the green motorcycle helicopter. I never can remember.
The Condor,
Condor. I've got that, but that's really the only two that I had when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So
what I've noticed is with Mask, the quality when compared to the Kenner's Star Wars line is somewhat lacking. I guess it was a cost thing, but the plastics that were used for Mask were definitely not the same plastics that were used for Star Wars. And as a result, a lot of the Mask items from the 80s are severely damaged, broken. And even the ones I've had recently, I just know by holding them that they are not the same level of quality as Kenner put into Star Wars toys, which is unfortunate because some of the Kenner Mask stuff is pretty impressive, but finding it in good condition, that's the hard part I've found. Speaking of Mask, and I'm just seeing the name here, that Dave at Vintage Toy Rush did a fantastic restoration of the Switchblade. I don't know if you saw that video.
I didn't see that one. I'm going to have to go look that up.
It seems like a very sort of painstaking process because the internals of it contain so many springs. And I'm sure, as you know, the minute you take something apart with springs, getting it back again is very challenging. So are there any toy lines that you do not have presently that you would like to at some point collect?
No, I got pretty much everything that I want to get. I still do Fisher Price Adventure People because that was one of my first things. I'm getting real close on it. Brave Star, I've got a lot of them. I'm about to finish Black Star, and you can see the ice castle up there in the corner.
Oh, right.
And I just got the Clone Cat from a gentleman on eBay, and I've been looking for that thing forever. Evel Knievel. I've got a lot of the Evel Knievel stuff. And I finished Team America, which I don't know if you know who that is. Same company, Ideal, that did all the Evel Knievel stuff. In the 82, made another line, had a comic book and everything with Captain America called Team America. So it's the same thing with the Energizer. You wind them up, they go. They actually made the Chopper, the Evil Chopper, with a Captain America figure on it. So I finished that. I like Lost World of the Warlord. If you're familiar with that, RAC and all them. It's a big comic book. It was a big DC comic, but they were kind of He-Man scale, that type of Remco style toy back in the 80s. And I had those. And so I was like, man, I really like these. So I try to get as many of them as I can. So,
I think for me, I'm going to try to get as many of the Corgi Junior's superhero vehicles as I can. So at present, I've got all the Batman, Spider-Man, and Superman, but they did a few sort of wacky ones. Like they did a one-off Wonder Woman car. They did a few Hulk things, which I did not have as a kid, but would like to get. But I'm quite thankful that I've managed to get all the ones I had as a child, plus a few that I really wanted as a child. And I'll do a video on that quite soon, actually, because it's been a relatively cheap thing to pursue compared to other toy lines. And just to see them again brings back so many great memories. Because bearing in mind that I was buying or collecting and playing with Corgi Juniors well before Star Wars came on the scene. So those are some of my earliest memories of toys. So the cars, along with the adventure people, and in the UK we had this knockoff action figure called Action Jack.
I've heard a lot of the guys talk about that, and he seemed like it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, literally something you could buy with a few coins. They were so cheap, and I imagine like probably 25p or something. And they were another toy that was just everywhere. Even the pharmacy would have a box of them on the counter, and supermarket, the newsagent. We used to have a traveling market would come to our village every Thursday, and I remember getting a lot of them from that place. And just a very simple thing, but it's a very vivid memory I have of playing with those little Action Jack figures. Again, another thing that I've never seen for sale in America, and even in the UK, they're few and far between. So,
yeah. Other than I got Secret Wars. I need like one figure to complete Secret Wars,
right?
And then the Superpowers. I need like four. I need the second and third series on that, and they're just outrageous right now. I can't. Yeah, and I've got almost a complete run of MASH from Mego.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I need Klinger in a dress. I just can't find it. All the Buck Rogers. I've got all them. What's the other one? Oh, Chips. I've got all them. That was my favorite show when I was growing up. Chips and Street Hawk. I don't know if you're familiar with.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Street Hawk was my absolute favorite show, and I actually have the Kenner bike still. He was a rider. He sat on it. He clicked him up, revved him up, and clicked him down, and he took off. Man, that thing's destroyed because I played with that thing all the time.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's the thing as well. The toys we had as kids were quality products because we were able to play with those things every single day, hours at a time, and they never broke. I remember quite vividly giving some of my toys a really hard time and never breaking them, whereas nowadays I'm seeing a lot online about the quality. Is it NECA that are renowned for poor quality? I've seen a few posts regarding the new Mattel Origins Masters of the Universe, those being sort of dodgy quality as well.
I found a NECA Superman with his legs broke at one of the vintage stores for $3. So I bought it and I fixed his leg using the Toy Polloi Lego method. So I've got him. It's a Christopher Reeves too, and so I got him set up. So for $3, I'm not paying $25 on it in break, but for $3, I'll fix it.
And by all accounts, these are breaking when they're being removed from the packaging. It's not even being played with.
Yeah, or like when they're trying to pose them and the stuff pops off.
Yeah. Just hit a few more of these comments so we stay up to date. There's Hey Jack. Evening chaps.
Hey Tim.
Nice. The Kenner Predator and Alien stuff is very cool. Yeah. OTT. Packaging on Skywarp looks awesome. Vibrant purple. Yeah, it's that's the thing. These commemorative series, whilst they're not exactly as things were done back in the 80s, they've captured the 80s vibe, I think, with the
way the packaging is with the little squares on the top. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I think the fact that these do open up to let you see inside.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that. That's
It's
cool.
it's a really nice touch. One thing that the Chinese knockoffs do very well is recreating the packaging from the 80s exactly as it was, and going so far as to give the actual booklets are exactly as they were back in the 80s. So everything they've done just recreates the experience, with the exception of the styrofoam inner tray is not present, but we can live with that.
Yeah, I've still got all my original Transformers, the Optimus, Jetfire, Soundwave was my favorite. Jazz, all the original ones after that. Once they started changing stuff like that, I was out of it after that.
Well, that's for me. So right now I have them on order. Actually, they're coming from China, and I need 2 more to complete wave 1, and that's the only wave I want to complete. Wave 2, I'll pick and choose a select few. Same with wave 3, and after that, I have no interest, because 1, they don't look good, and 2, by that point in time in the 80s, I was no longer into toys. So I only collect what I have a memory of.
Yes.
So Transformers and video games, they love the new Origins line. Yeah, I mean, I think it looks pretty cool. I saw one posting yesterday on Twitter where someone got theirs, opened it, and the back of the figure looked like it had been in a fire, as if it had been melted in some way. It was just poor quality. But,
oh, wow.
Hi, Dave. Hi. Here we go. Masks seemed like cheaper plastic than Star Wars. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. It's just a thinner plastic, not necessarily brittle, but it just feels flimsy compared to the plastics that were used on the Star Wars toys, which is unfortunate, because, again, these are toys that you see them for sale on eBay or whatever, and 99% of them are damaged in some way, so they do need worked on if you want to bring them back to life. What's the place? Here we are. For me, it was Star Wars, He-Man, Transformers. Yeah, I think if you ask most people of our age, you're going to hear probably Star Wars first for sure, and then it's like a toss-up with He-Man, Transformers, G.I. Joe. Hi, Dave. Anthony.
Oh, he's in Argentina. Wow.
Argentina. Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for tuning in. I like Zoids.
Yes. I like GoBots too. I've got a lot of GoBots.
Yeah. Well, actually, GoBots I got one GoBot as a kid, because I don't think my mom realized that it was Transformers I wanted, and she saw a GoBot which transpired to have been a knockoff, not even a real one. But I was able to get the one I had as a kid. It was the knockoff Slicks. Yeah.
I had the same one, but but my dad was in the Air Force and my mom cut hair when I was growing up. So walking out, you get a $20 Transformer, or you can get a $3. Well, I get the $3 GoBots.
Yeah,
I love them.
Yeah,
and they could blend in with your Matchbox and Hot Wheels cars.
Oh yeah.
That's what I liked about them.
Yeah, and Tim he loved Star Wars, He-Man, and G.I. Joe. So Will is saying, I wish we had the toy shows and flea markets in New Zealand like the USA. They would be great way to find vintage toys. Yeah, that's why. So as I've said many times, I'm currently somewhat hamstrung being here without having private transport, because I gave up my lease car almost 2 years ago. If I go down that route again and have my own transport, I will definitely hit the other states like New Jersey and Pennsylvania, because I do remember when I lived in Pennsylvania, there were a lot of antique shops, and I would go in there just for a general look around. And because I wasn't into toys then, I didn't pay a lot of attention to what they had for sale. But I do know that they had a lot of old vintage toys, so I'd like to hopefully get back into that.
You got to go to Kokomo, Indiana.
Yeah.
You got to go to Kokomo. I lived there when I was a kid, and I remember going to a store called Rinks, and all the locals there will remember what that is. But I got a Blue Thunder helicopter there.
Oh yeah.
And I've still got it. It's underneath the TV in my bedroom, and I've still got that. But I've got, that's where I started my G.I. Joe journey, was there with Breaker, because he was from Gatlinburg, which is right down the street from where I'm from in Blount County here in Tennessee. So
yeah. It's like I feel like I've missed out on a lot of opportunities. I think I mentioned this before, that when we haven't been for 2-3 years now because of COVID and everything, but when we went to Thailand a lot with my wife, who's from Thailand, I remember seeing tons, and I mean tons, of Transformer toys and not really paying much attention, because this was prior to me doing this all things 80s thing. Looking back, if I'd just known what I was going to end up doing, I would have had an absolute ball in these shops, because it was Transformers as far as the eye could see. And all I cared about was drinking Thai beer and stuff. I didn't focus on these damn toys. Yeah. And similarly, I went to this coffee shop, which houses the most amazing statue and toy collection. I've never seen anything like it in my life. So when we do get to go back again, I'm absolutely going to make a video from this coffee shop. It was just, it wasn't necessarily a Star Wars coffee shop, but aside from selling all the coffees and teas, they had a whole library of books that you could sit down and read. It was all Star Wars, Star Trek books, Transformers books. And then they had 2 floors with just glass cases of the most amazing busts and sculptures that you've ever seen. And they had a lot of 1-to-1 scale busts.
Oh, wow.
And I remember thinking, wow, this is so cool. So if we get to go back there, I'm going to make a video from this place. It's just mind-blowing, awesome. The collection. Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. Did I miss? Best thing you've... So what's the best thing you found at the market?
I found so much stuff. I found Last 17 figures at the flea market. I found the other over-the-top figures. I found all kinds of stuff. I can't put it down for one thing, but I found the hardhead faker from the He-Man line, because there's 2 of them. There's soft head and hardhead. I found, I just go all the time. My brother does the same thing. He collects Big Jim, if you're familiar with the Big Jim, and Johnny West, and $6 Million Man. The $6 Million Man. But we go all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here's Dave is asking, did your Street Hawk take a battery with a working headlight?
No, it was like this big. It wasn't very big, and it had, the rider would sit on it. His legs were permanent, but he could click up, and you could rev it up, and then when you flipped him down, that's what let him go. But it wasn't very big, but it didn't have a battery. I guess it was like friction based or whatever. Yeah. But man, I played with that thing. Like all the time. Yeah.
So Tim is asking, he heard that NECA figures are perishable. Yeah, it sounds like it.
I think it lists them as perishable goods on their website.
Does anyone remember Stinky stickers? I remember Scratch and Sniff.
Yeah, stickers. I remember Scratch and Sniff. Yeah, that's.
Do you remember Puffy stickers?
Yeah, I actually have a Puffy one of He-Man up there. Yeah, a Battle Armor He-Man, a Puffy sticker.
Right. I remember having a set of Duran Duran Puffy stickers.
Oh, wow.
I also remember as a kid, this would have been mid-80s for sure, getting a set of holographic Transformer stickers. And at the time, my mind was blown by these stickers. The fact they were, when you tilted them, they were like 3D, and it was just such a cool thing. But yeah, the Stinky stickers, I remember Scratch and Sniff. Trying to remember what other things we had. I remember discussing this recently, but in the 80s, that was I guess they discovered how to make things smell nice. So we had all these scented erasers, scented pens, obviously the stickers, strawberry shortcake, and of course the TIE Fighter pilot, which probably not intentional. Yeah. It's funny. We'll always bring up the TIE Fighter pilot, but unless you were there at the time, you won't really appreciate what we're saying. But my God, that figure just smelled. It was the most amazing, fruity. It's hard to describe, but it was just glorious. Oh, fantastic. Zoids were great. Really impressive mechanisms. Don't see many vintage ones around. There's a place called Kokomo.
Yep. Kokomo, Indiana.
Okay.
Yep.
That's where we want to go to get away from it all.
Oh, yeah. That's the Beach Boys reference. Good one, Tim. Good one.
Yeah. And Marky is saying he loves Thailand. Oh, yeah. It's just, I got to say, it's the place that I felt the most welcomed and probably the happiest I've ever been. It's just the people are so hospitable, so friendly, and so welcoming that they make you feel like a king. And aside from all the beautiful sights, some of the most amazing foods I've ever sampled, and it's so cheap. It is ridiculously cheap. And I remember I did a video. I bought these knockoff metal model kits of Star Wars. It was a TIE Fighter and R2D2, and those cost like a couple of bucks. I made a complete mess of trying to assemble them, but they were dirt cheap, so it wasn't a big deal. But as I said earlier, Transformers galore. I also remember seeing a lot of Black Series figures in one of the big department stores and not really paying any great attention to them. I also remember they had a lot of T-shirts and things. It's just Star Wars. I guess Star Wars is the universal thing that everyone loves, everyone knows. So wherever you go in the world, you're sure to see a lot of Star Wars stuff for sale. So here's a question for you, Anthony. What's your favorite vintage Star Wars figure?
Well, Han Solo and Chewbacca were my two firsts, and I've still got they're in the Falcon right here next to me.
Right.
But I've been focused collecting on the Bespin Guard for some odd reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just like the guy, but I've got tons of them. So anytime that I'm out, if I see a vintage figure, if it's not outrageous, I pick it up.
Yeah.
No figure left behind.
Yeah. It's really not a question I can answer. I don't have one particular favorite, although I am quite partial to the AT-AT driver and the TIE Fighter pilot, just for how they look. I think they look really, really cool. So here's Shabby Geek is here. And Garbage Pail Kids were another good one. Oh, yeah. I remember those. One of the first videos for All Things 80s, I managed to get hold of an unopened pack of Garbage Pail Kids and open them. And the gum was absolutely stale. I tried it. It was horrendous. But just seeing those stickers again, holding them, it was just a wonderful throwback. Again, another pretty big part of my 80s childhood was stickers. And in particular, we had the football stickers that you would put into the albums. But I still remember collecting E.T., Gremlins, possibly Back to the Future. All the big franchises had stickers and albums. And certainly in primary school during break, we'd be out there swapping our doubles. It was just a real fun experience, and the determination to complete the album before your friends did. But I did. In fact, it was earlier this year, probably the end of December, beginning of January, I found that Marvel had Panini stickers and an album for sale. So I bought those from Walgreens and had to end up sending away to get a whole box of stickers because obviously I have no one to swap doubles with. So that kind of took away the experience, because part of the fun of it was swapping for doubles. But still, it was nice to see stickers again and put them in the album. Shabby. And there's Hey Jack. We've got a lot of greetings going back and forth. Yeah, you're right. Thailand is so different to England. Yeah, I think it's different to everywhere, really. But, just to give you an example, where I am in Brooklyn, so obviously we're renting this apartment. The cheapest property for sale is a studio apartment for about $300,000 US. That's the cheapest. We're looking at Thailand, and for anything from 100,000 to 150,000 is going to get you a 3-bedroomed house with its own swimming pool.
Oh, wow.
So you can see why I'm very tempted to head in that direction. It's America, or New York especially, the pricing is just outrageous. And the sales tax as well. That's the other thing. When I buy something on eBay, I have to add another almost 10% for sales tax.
Ours is 9.75 here.
Yeah. Outrageous. Hey. Still got my Transformer comics and stickers. Yeah, I remember getting the comic back in the UK as a kid. I remember getting Mask, Transformers, and Action Force comics, and the Star Wars comic. Those were pretty neat. So do you have a collection of comics?
Yeah, I do. I have the whole run of Star Wars, all the Marvel, all 155 of the G.I. Joe, all I think it's 80 of the Transformers. And most of the ones that were toy stuff, I got. Power Lords, Sectars, all that stuff that was toy, robotics, all that stuff. I would just, if it was a toy, I'd try to grab it, and I would have all that stuff. So I've got actually some Action Force ones too. The bigger, they're pretty. They're magazine size.
That's right.
50 of them. I probably have 13 or 14 of them. Yeah.
I think that's the thing. UK comics were a much larger size of publication than the traditional comic book size. I know that for me, aside from the aforementioned Mask, Action Force, Transformers comics, I would get a weekly. Well, there were two of them. One was called the Dandy, the other one was the Beano. And those were just cartoon strip comics. But from the ages of about probably 10 onwards, I would get the music magazines like Smash Hits magazine and Number One magazine. And those, again, are very expensive to buy these days. And again, the other problem is with them being British publications, they're mostly for sale in the UK. So therefore, the shipping's like $20 for a magazine. It's ridiculous.
Crazy.
Yeah, Panini. That was the brand. Now, obviously, the Marvel stickers I got this year were from Panini, but were Panini doing stickers in America in the 80s?
I don't remember if they. I'd say it was probably a different one. Yeah.
And that's the thing as well. Got needs. So when you were doing your swaps, with Brendan, he was
that's right.
Got need. Yeah. Collecting Star Wars. What up, cool kids? Good to see you.
Hey.
Collecting Star Wars. A-up Shabby. It's our Tez. Yellow Mellow Steve-O.
Hello, Steve.
Rock on Anthony. I'd love to have a full run of Marvel G.I. Joe comics.
Well, it's me and I had the run, and I still had the first, like probably 10, and then I started going back and forth, trying to find them. And my brother got me the last two in consecutive Christmases. So, he's like, here's your big present. Boom. So, because that last issue is just ridiculous. It's $100 all day long.
Wow. Yeah. So Tez is saying the NME Is there any found online now? So the NME was that the what's it? National Music Express, maybe? Can't remember the exact name, but that was always a more indie-oriented music magazine, whereas, you know, the Smash Hits was all about Duran Duran and Spandau Ballet. I think NME were your more indie-style bands like Cure and New Order, possibly. What's up, everyone? Oh yeah, Lucan was another magazine I got. I did a video on those a while back. Those were great to look back on, simply because to look at the old adverts to see how much things were. Like they were advertising new albums for like £4 or something. And again, I've done a few videos looking at the old Argos toy catalog, or the toy section of Argos. And when you see things like the Action Force Robo Skull costing £14 back in 1985, as opposed to the hundreds it costs today, it's you know, people always talk about, I'd love to, love to go back in time and buy everything up. So if you were to somehow create a time machine, what would be the 3 things that you would bring back from the 80s?
Oh man. That's hard to say. I would go back and get my Rodan from the Godzilla Shogun Warriors line. Mm-hmm. If you're familiar with the Rodan. Everybody when I was growing up had the big Shogun Warriors and then the real big Godzilla. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be different, so I got Rodan, which was the big pterodactyl. And it had 3 holes in its back like a bowling ball. And you could flap its wings and you hit its beak and it squawked and everything. That I would definitely go back and try to hold on to one of those, because that thing is like the holy grail now. Yeah, I found one in a box. It was like $5,000. Wow. I'm like, no, I'm gonna have to pass. Yeah. And probably some of them Shogun Warriors too, because I had a couple of them, but I don't know what I had done with them. Yeah. Yeah, I think if I were to go, no, go ahead. If I were to go back in time to bring something back with me, it would definitely be the larger scale Corgi Batman set of the Batmobile, Batcopter, and Batboat. I want those so badly, but to get them in good condition, again, pretty hard to do so. And I've seen them on eBay for like, $1,500, $2,000, and it's just too much. And there's no way I could justify spending that much money on some model cars. And the sad part is I actually had a lot of those as a kid, because it must have been Christmas either 80 or 81. I got a lot of superhero toys that year. And I remember getting the 3-pack of the Batmobile, Batboat, and Batcopter, as well as an individual Batmobile. And that's when I got my Spider-Man Jeep and the Spider Bike, which I've managed to get those two, because for some reason, Spider-Man does not command the same prices as Batman when it comes to Corgi. So it's been pretty easy to get hold of the Spider-Man stuff, not so much the Batman. I think I had the Superman, like little rocket ship that had the 2 little fists, and you hit the little button, and I had that, the silver van, and then I think it came with a police car, a blue, had blue on the side and a white top. I think all those came in a 3-pack. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember having those. Yeah, the Superman series of Corgi Juniors is a little disappointing, because they included a generic van with the Daily Planet advertising on the side. They had a very generic, I think it was possibly a Buick cop car, and also a Daily Planet helicopter, where at least the Batman and Spider-Man stuff were unique models to that particular character. They kind of took the easy route out with Superman, although the super starship thing with the fist was a pretty unique toy. I like that one, and then the 007 Lotus. Oh yeah, that Lotus. That thing was. Oh man, I love that thing. Yeah,
actually, I think I still have mine from childhood, the Corgi Junior's Bond Lotus. And I found my. Do you remember the show with Roger Moore, The Saint? He had the white. I think it was a Volvo.
I know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was another cool car I still have. And I managed to find my Captain America Corgi Junior's car.
Oh, wow.
The condition is not so great, unfortunately. And that's another one I'm having a really hard time finding a new one online. For some reason, that, along with the Spider-Man van, has been very challenging to get hold of. Batman, there are tons of those out there, but Spider-Man is very hard to find for some reason.
Was there a Spider-Man helicopter? Was there a Spider-Man helicopter?
Yeah, the helicopter.
Web?
The web was the propellers. Yeah. Yeah,
I remember that.
They also did the a motorcycle, both a larger scale and the small scale. So I've got both of those, and I'm still looking to find some Hulk items. So I need Hulk, Shazam, and Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. And it would be nice to get a new Captain America, all in the Corgi Juniors line. But again, I've kind of spoilt the fun of collecting in some aspects, where I'm in such a rush to complete a collection that I don't take a step back and enjoy the hunt, because the hunt is as much fun as actually owning something. And as I mentioned last week, I somewhat rushed into my Star Wars figures collection, in that I bought the first 21 as a lot, and the Return of the Jedi line as a lot, meaning I only had Empire and Last 17 to pursue each figure individually. And I guess I should take a step back from the Corgi Juniors and just enjoy the hunt, because once you get your collection complete, that's it. You're done. There is nothing else to collect. So Will is saying, Commando War comics were the ones us fellas had. Yeah, I remember sort of generic war comics. I forget what it was called, but yeah, I mean, certainly anything with guns and tanks, us boys loved reading about.
I went Sergeant Rock here. I had a bunch of those.
Oh, right. The big 12-inch Star Wars figures. Yep. Yeah.
I got them all right behind my head up there. I just got that IG-88 because I emailed you.
Yeah, that's right. That was cool. Yeah. I only ever had one of those. That was the Stormtrooper that someone, for some reason, gave to me one day in primary school. It was missing the blaster. And I remember where his foot was joined had broken somewhat, so his foot was damaged. But I still loved that figure. Although he had the floppy arms, his arms wouldn't stay in place. But, let's see. Myself, I would bring back the UK version of the Death Star. Yeah, that's a good point.
Be a good one.
Yeah. I'm wondering if in the history of toys, the only time a kid would choose cardboard over plastic would have been the Death Star.
I think. Well, see, both of them offer different things.
Yeah.
You know, like the American version has got the big elevator and all that stuff, but the Palatoy one has all those different sides.
Yeah.
And you could, go, oh, we're over here now, and now we're over here. That would be cool. I never had the big Death Star. I've got it. I've had it now for probably like 6-7 years, but I never had it growing up. But I bought it at a vintage toy shop and it completed it all. So, well, I have a repro rope because that rope is ridiculous.
Yeah,
trying to get an original one.
Yeah. Do you have?
I mean, I could see bringing that back.
Do you still have the original sponge for the trash compactor?
Mm-mm. I had to get repro because all that stuff is just it just turns into dust. I replaced the one in my Dagobah too because it's just you just blow on it and it goes everywhere. Yeah. I picked up a bandolier strap, a loose one, because I've got one in the box, but I wanted to have a different one, and that foam was just awful. I just scrubbed it all out, and now it just lays over there where you can see what it is.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
And probably some sweets. I'm assuming that means bringing back. Oh yeah, there are so many candies and sweets that I remember as a kid that are no longer sold this day. So here's a question for anyone from the UK. Do you remember a bar called, I think it was, I was going to say Cabana, but I think Cabana might have been cherries and coconut. I'm thinking of a bar that was stretchy, sort of toffee type consistency, but it was multicolored and fruit flavored, possibly in a green wrapper. If anyone knows what that is, I'd love to read your comments, because that's something I remember quite vividly, and I remember the sort of tangy flavor of it, and that's not been sold for decades, but I'd love to know. Love those Corgi Diecast Batman vehicles. They're hard to come by. Yeah. Well, that's the problem, because they were obviously painted, I guess, an enamel paint, and when kids played with them and they would do a lot of car crash scenes, the paint just goes flying off everywhere. Didn't a flame come out of the Batman car? Well, it came out of the one on TV, certainly.
Yes.
But I don't know. I don't think there was any toys that emulated that. Spark. Not sure what that's reference to.
Maybe it sparked when you rolled it or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I wish I kept hold of my Atari 2600. I left it at my university flat in the early 90s. What a knobhead. Yeah. I had all the 1980 Clash of the Titans toys, including the Kraken. I'd go back in time for those.
Yeah. I need the Kraken to complete that set. And they got one at Kokomo, but it's like $500.
Oh, wow.
I just can't see pulling the trigger on that.
Release the Kraken. I only had the cardboard Death Star, but I don't think the plastic one was ever sold in the UK.
No, I think it was like a cost-cutting measure. Pelican made their own.
Yeah, it's the same reason that my memory of the X-Wing is of no electronics and the chrome R2d2.
R2, yeah.
Which is why I was quite confused when I saw a video a few years back and the X-Wing had the light and the sound. I thought, wait a minute, there's no way mine had those lights and sound. And then from doing some research, I realized that Palitoy wanted to cut costs. Great live stream. Thank you. Got to go to sleep, catch up tomorrow. Well, thank you for watching. I know, Ted. Wish I could. I think it was just called Stripes. It reminded me of those Dayglow socks. Stripes. I don't know. I also remember there being a mint chew called Pacers that I think was white with green stripes around it. But this thing I'm thinking of is just a blob of multicolored fruity candy. I don't know. Now, I don't know about you, Anthony, but for me, Easter time is all about Cadbury cream eggs. And fortunately, they still sell them to this day. But I know when we talk about memories of our childhood, we're remembering things when we had the hands, which were kid-sized hands, which means things today seem smaller. There is no question that Cadbury's cream eggs are half the size they were when I was a kid, and twice the price.
Oh yeah, those Cadburys, you either like them or you don't. There's no, there's no in between. They're like,
no,
you either like they're good or you don't like them.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste, I would say, because to some people it's excessively sweet and sickly. But for me, that's what Easter is all about. And another thing, though, that America does not do as well as the UK is Easter eggs in general. So in the UK, an Easter egg is typically probably, I don't know, 6 to 8 inches in height, with 2 halves of chocolate, and inside would be various candy bars, which I've never seen for sale in America.
No, I've never seen that here.
No. One thing I'm definitely not a fan of is Peeps.
My daughter likes them.
I
could live without them.
So did they have Peeps back in the 80s?
I remember having
so
that. Yeah.
so that's something that's lasted the course of time. That's good. Had the full Dune action figure set, only got the sandworm left, which looks like some dodgy ribbed sex toy.
It does. Yeah. Yes, it does.
So Marky's saying, Pacers were great. Yeah. I used to collect Kinder eggs. Kinder. Yeah. Also, Funny Feet ice cream look tiny now. Yeah, I think. Yeah, there's no question that companies have cut costs over the years and gradually have made things smaller and smaller, hoping that we won't or won't notice the difference. But there's no question that a lot of things are tiny in comparison to what they used to be. Stripes was a fruit striped gum here in the US.
Yeah, we had a lot of. They still sell those too. Certain places, like Dollar Tree and places like that, you can still get the Stripes gum. Yeah.
Graham used to collect the mugs. That's right. So in the UK, an Easter egg would be a normal drinking mug with the chocolate egg on top. And so, for example, if it was a Cadbury Whisper egg, it would be a Cadbury Whisper mug or Galaxy or whatever. Yeah, it was always a big thing. Whereas I've noticed that in America, it's mostly small foil wrapped, eggs, this size, as opposed to big full on things. Yeah, there are a number of things that I've noticed that America does not seem to do quite as well as the UK did, and vice versa. There are things that America does better than the UK. From the eggs. Yeah. So let me see what else I got on my list here. So what item in your collection are you most proud of?
Pretty much all of it, really. I like it all. There's I can't just say, I want to keep this one thing or just that one thing. I mean, I love it all. This is my
all right.
Between motorcycles and this is my two favorite things.
So let me try and rephrase the question. Okay. If there were to suddenly be a fire breakout and you only have time to save one item, what one item would you save?
It would probably be the AT-AT that's up here on the top, because I remember being in Germany in 1980 and my dad coming back from the States, and he walked in and he had two suitcases, and one had his clothes and the other one had that AT-AT in a box.
Right.
So I would definitely grab that, because that thing holds special memories for me.
Yeah. I mean, but I have, whilst, to this day, I still have such regret over selling my Star Wars toys, which must have been about 15 or 17 years ago. I still have quite a lot of things from my childhood. I have my original Astro Wars video game. I have a number of my Diecast cars, but most impressively, I have all my Lego from childhood. I don't know how.
I don't have any of my Lego.
Yeah.
I have none of my Lego.
Yeah, I don't know how it was that survived, but it did, and I brought that with me. That must have been mid 2000s on a trip back to Scotland. I thought, you know what, I'm bringing this with me. I need to go through it all because it's been in bags for decades. Some of it's quite dirty, but that's something I'm going to take the time one of these days just to go through and reassemble all the sets I had, because I was really, really into the space series. That to me was one of the greatest toys I had as a kid, not only because on the one hand it was just cool looking as it was, but the fact that with Lego you can create whatever your imagination comes up with. And the fact that Lego is still going strong today is testament to how good a toy it really is. Now, did you ever get involved with the Star Wars Lego?
No, I got a couple for my daughter. She's real big into Harry Potter stuff. So, I mean, I got her some of that and let her do that. But I never really got into that. So most of the modern stuff, I just don't really like.
Yeah, I actually, for a period, was quite heavily into it, but I did make the distinction that I would only collect sets that were from the original trilogy. But it was getting to the point where they were releasing new sets almost every month. It was hard to keep up. And as I've said many times, living in this studio apartment, I just did not have the space to keep it all. And the stuff I did have, it was just gathering dust. So I sold those on probably, I don't know, 4 years ago or something. Don't regret that at all, because whilst it was nice to have all these sets, it got a bit boring, to be honest, because unlike the Lego I remember as a kid, which were pretty much smaller size sets, things like the Millennium Falcon was so tedious to build because it had so many panels that were the exact same. So you had to do the same panel like 10 times. It's like, oh man, this is really boring. So that was another reason to sort of move away from Lego. And but certainly my childhood Lego, I will need to take the time to reassemble all my classic sets.
I remember them coming in a big bucket.
Yeah,
the Legos, just a big, and they were all just different, and you could just make whatever, and you might got a tree or something in there, but you just build whatever. They had a little thing for the car that you could make.
Yeah.
So I remember that. What about Playmobil? Did you have any of that?
I have no real memory of it, but I do recall having one figure, and I think that was probably the extent of my Playmobil collection. It's good to see that line is still going strong, and
and they're getting a bunch of good licenses. They got Back to the Future, Ghostbusters. They got a whole bunch of different stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah, and by all accounts, some of the vehicles that they've produced are some of the best representations of the DeLorean, etc.
Oh yeah.
So and here's one. Often send Tunnocks tea cakes, caramel logs from Scotland to friends in the USA. They go nuts for. Oh yeah, absolutely. I was lucky enough at Christmas. One of my brothers sent over a hamper, and it contained Tunnocks tea cakes and caramel logs, which I ate them almost immediately. They are so good. Grayskull or the Emperor's shuttle for me. So that's the item probably most proud of, or grab in a fire. So I'm guessing this is your brother.
Yep, that's my brother.
Yeah, the better looking brother. I had the Fly Fox.
Fly Fox?
Not sure what that is. I enjoyed my Skeletrix. Oh yeah, fantastic toy. Now, were Skeletrix, was that a worldwide brand, or was that something that
I remember having? I know what you're talking about, but we had Tyco that did all the RC cars.
Yeah,
and I remember I had a Dukes of Hazzard one. That had the General Lee and then the cop car that would chase it around.
Right.
Or Roscoe would chase it around. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just remember. I guess I would have been maybe 4 or 5 when I got a Skeletrix set, and this was the fastest toy car I'd ever seen at that point in my life, and I was just blown away by how fast this thing went. But for me, the most or the strongest memory of Skeletrix is the smell of the motors overheating.
Yeah, that's a distinct smell. Once you smell it, you know what it is from then on.
Yep. Yeah. It's very much the case that, or it's been said that smells do invoke some of the strongest memories, or other way around, where memories of smells are some of the strongest memories. But they had TIE Fighter pilots, Skeletrix cars, very, very vivid memories of those. Who remembers the Weeble family in the treehouse?
Yep.
I certainly do. Yep. Weebles wobble, but they won't fall down.
Don't fall down.
Yeah, those I remember. A couple of those.
God, where was? Oh, me and my brother were in Kentucky at a place called Replay Toys in Bowling Green, and they had the Weeble haunted house still sealed in the box from the 72, 73. Yeah, I was like, wow. You never see that. Never see that.
Yeah. No. Yep. Man, that Dukes of Hazzard racer car was a dream toy. Never got it, unfortunately. Yeah. I remember seeing a video recently. I think it was Retro Blasting did a review of a modern Scalextric set.
Yes.
And it looks interesting, but it just didn't quite capture the same memories that I had of the original, because mine was a very basic figure of 8 set, and it had a skid chicane that was pretty awesome for doing not tricks as such, but when you were racing around, you had to be very careful over this one part of the track. But again, it's another issue of space for me. If I were to get hold of a Scalextric set, I would set it up, play with it, and have to take it all apart again. It's not really worth it. So Tim says, I didn't fixate so much on the smell of toys unless it was strawberry shortcake, which I knew was fruit scented. Yeah, I remember a friend of mine, his sister had strawberry shortcake dolls. We used to sniff those. And it's been suggested that the reason the TIE Fighter pilot smells so good is because he was built in the same factory as Strawberry Shortcake.
And that kind of makes sense.
It's possible, yeah. I had the Stretch Armstrong, and I broke my Stretch Hulk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, didn't those contain some sort of weird cornstarch?
Corn syrup
mixture?
Is what I heard, yeah.
Corn syrup, yeah. So I'm assuming that when you broke it, it just went everywhere.
Yeah. But it took a while you had to really, really do something to that thing, because he would stretch all over the place.
Yeah, that's not something I ever had as a kid, but I always quite like the look of it. But again, it's one of those toys that once you stretch it a few times, then what do you do with it? It's not exactly the most engaging of toys. Yeah. So another question for you. So what's on your immediate shopping list?
Well, I'm still trying. I need to finish Kenner Droids. I need Sis From and Tig From. But like we just said, I'm not in any rush to just go buy them, because the prices for them are just outrageous. I need an Uncle Gundy, but they're all $100 plus now. So I'm just looking around to see if I can find. Yeah.
And again, it goes back to what I was discussing with Jack last week about when you're left requiring a few last 17 figures to complete your Star Wars collection. It's unfortunate that it's costing the most money to get figures that in terms of appearance are pretty undesirable. It's unfortunate that, things like Barada and some of those Ewoks, they're not the most appealing of figures and yet command the highest prices.
That's strange.
I guess if we could go back and do it all again, get those figures first, and then allow yourself the pleasure of looking for the figures that you really like the look of. Because as it is, for me, I think it's 2 Ewoks and Barada short, and none of those figures are particularly appealing to me, which is why I've kind of put Star Wars to the side for the moment and focused on Transformers, because 1, the prices were fantastic, and 2, they're all toys I really want and enjoy the look of. It's easier to spend money on something that you actually like looking at, as opposed to figures that you need to complete your collection but don't necessarily enjoy looking at. And that seems to be the case with some of the last 17, unfortunately.
I'm still trying to get some of the Lily Lede Kenner stuff. Mexico stuff. Some of that, with no COO on stuff stamped on them, and things like that. So that's just a little focus that I've got right now.
So do you also collect the variants of certain figures?
Depends on what it is. I've got a couple of the different, the original Luke with the yellow hair, the caramel hair, and then the brown hair. I've got some of those. the Lando smiling, not smiling.
Right.
Now, in the Lily Lede one, they have a biker scout who's got a short nose, his mouth open and a long one. I've got that. And most of them are just, they don't have the marking of what factory they came from. But pretty much they're the same.
Right.
So, you know, I just like the way those, I just want to have something different. So that's why I started that Lily Lede.
Yeah.
Something different.
Yeah. I think for me, as I've mentioned this a number of times, that the majority of my collections are currently in plastic boxes being stored because I don't have the space to display them. And I'm certainly not inclined to put my Star Wars figures out in the open because of the dust and everything. But once we do move, and I will get a room dedicated to this, and I get a nice glass case for my Star Wars figures, I'm going to very much enjoy setting them up and just sitting back and looking at them and just enjoying having them. But also, the glass case will have a door that I can still touch them and play with them, because for me, I could never be a mint on card collector for the simple reason that I like to handle these things and just bring back the memories I had as a kid playing with them.
I've got a lot on card, but I just like looking at the pictures because I remember them hanging, and you're looking through the pegs, you know, flipping through, looking. That's why I like looking at the back and going, oh yeah, I remember crossing him off when I got him, or I would go, no, I don't want him, or you know, whatever.
That's why I remember as a kid when we got a boxed vehicle or play set, the actual catalog contained inside was, or to me, had as much value as the toy itself. Because I would lie in bed and just thumb through that little catalog, seeing what was all for sale and what figures I didn't have. It was, again, prior to the internet, this was the only way we knew what else was for sale, unless we saw it in a store.
Or a catalog, like a big catalog, like a Sears catalog or Montgomery Ward.
Yeah.
I remember tear those up at Christmas.
Oh yeah. I remember when my mom would get the big, thick catalog, I'd go straight to the toy section, and especially in the years 82, 83, 84, there was always at least 2 or 3 pages worth of Star Wars. And that quite often would be the first time I'd ever see certain play sets or vehicles. And we'd always say, oh, I want this for Christmas, I want that for Christmas. And invariably never got everything I wanted, but what I did get, I was very happy with. So Marky is confirming that it was indeed a gel inside Stretch Armstrong. Won the A-Wing from Droids.
Oh, I'd love to have that. Yeah. I got the Power of the Force one just to have.
Yeah. Now, is that the exact same as the one from Droids?
I think it is. I think there might be just a couple of things that are different.
Right.
But I think the mold's the same.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Kenner, they reuse a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah. I did a video, when was it? This was way back, where I got an original Kenner X-Wing, and then I think it was a Power of the Force 2 and maybe a vintage collection or something, just to compare them all. And there's no question that the vintage collection stuff is very impressive and very highly detailed. But because I grew up with the original simple stuff, I always gravitate towards the originals. You know, as much as toys these days, or the vehicles they put out, they are indeed very impressive with great play features and detail. Nothing for me can beat the original basic simple toys. I guess I am somewhat stubborn in the way I collect, in that I tend to really only collect vintage, and in particular stuff that A, I either had, or B, always wanted. And that way I can limit the size of my collection. Whereas if I were to be heavily into the modern stuff, that's just an ongoing process, which is never ending. So do you collect any modern stuff?
I got a couple of those little He-Man figures. Of course, I bought that NECA thing, but the only other, I bought the Snake Eyes the big GI Joe, the 6-inch one.
Oh, right.
But other than that, no.
Yeah. So you don't have any. So no Black Series or vintage collection. No. Ever been tempted?
No, those vintage collection ones, their legs are too skinny.
Yeah.
They don't look right to me. I mean,
No.
I see them, and they just don't look right to me.
Also, again, it's only my opinion, but they're way over articulated for a figure of that size.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think I've had in my possession 2 vintage collection figures, and in both cases, they just felt so fragile because there's so many points of articulation, and one of them in particular was the TIE fighter pilot. The legs were deformed; it could not stand up straight, and that was straight from the box. So yeah, I don't bother with those. And I recently did the video explaining why I cannot collect Black Series, even though I was a willing buyer. I had the money to give to Hasbro for some Mandalorian Black Series, and they've made it impossible, so I'm out.
Yeah.
I had the Banger car set. So was that for Tyco or Skeletric? I don't know. I had the Matchbox Race and Chase set. Yeah. I also remember another great toy or car toy game that I never had but always wanted. I think it was based on Demolition Derby. And it was 2 cars that may have been radio controlled that could crash into each other, and all the body panels would go flying off and all.
Yeah, I remember something like that.
Yeah. There were a lot of destruction involved in our toys back in the 80s.
Yeah. I like those, and I like the Hot Wheels, the crack-ups, where they would crash and the panels would flip.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite ones. I've got a bunch of those.
Yeah. And we've got your brother saying, tell him about the Rodan you had.
You missed it. I already did that. I love that Rodan. Actually, he was with me when I found the Godzilla. We were at the Fanboy Expo in Knoxville, which will be there again this, I think it's August or October, it's one of the 2. Shatner's supposed to be there to sign autographs, and the guy who played Sulu. So we usually set up and sell and, talk to everybody. But I found that Godzilla for $70.
Wow.
There, and everyone came by and was trying to buy it. Everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice. So Tim is saying that some of the Droids line was just recycling of the Return of the Jedi line. I guess the Boba Fett was a direct recycle, and
of course, I mean, like, the A-Wing.
Yeah.
He was never even in the cartoon, but they put him on a card, and then they released the A-Wing in the Droids package. And
I'm still. I keep saying this in these live streams, but I'm still bemused at how the Power of the Force line was used, because given that they released the Luke Stormtrooper disguise figure in this line, meant they were not committing themselves to one particular movie, and yet 16 of the 17 are from Return of the Jedi, and for the most part they're not necessarily great characters. There were so many important characters in the other movies that got overlooked. The Power of the Force was the perfect line to give us those figures.
I think the Gunner is the other one that was from either Star Wars or Empire.
Oh yeah, right.
They argue about that one being from which one or the other, but it's either one. But the Dignitary, I didn't, that's another, like Maydeen. I don't really need that.
Yeah.
But I mean, a good Grand Moff Tarkin or another X-Wing pilot, or something like that would have been, or another Princess Leia, even.
Yeah, there were so many.
There's so many things they could have done, but
but thankfully we now live in an age where places like Stan Solo can produce what we never had, and produce it so well that it's indistinguishable from what Kenner was doing. So if you want to add your Stan Solo figures next to your Star Wars figures, they fit seamlessly. It looks really good.
Especially the gunner that he has with the gray outfit. Oh man, yeah, I'm definitely getting that.
So, do you have multiples of vintage figures and vehicles, or just one of each?
I have multiples.
Yeah,
multiples. I probably have 6 X-wings. I've got 3 Falcons. I had 4, but I sent one.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I've got probably 25 or 30 Landos. The original Lando smiling, and other one probably 20 Vaders, 20 Obi-Wan Kenobis. So, like I said, anytime I see a loose figure, if it's not outrageous, I pick it up and bring it home.
Yeah. So, on average, how often do you actually go out to places that sell these things?
I try to go at least once a week and try to go somewhere. Me and my brother will get together and we'll go, we'll just go, hey, where are we going today? And he'll come down from Knoxville, or I'll go up there and we're going to go north today. And we end up in Kentucky. Right. Or, we'll go east and we'll go, just, you never know. We go to Chattanooga a lot. We go just anywhere and everywhere. But we're always looking, always constantly looking.
Yeah. And do you have certain places that you go back to frequently? And for example, does their stock change from time to time?
Yeah, there's a couple like vintage places around here that have toys and comics and Pokemon cards and things like that, and that's their whole business. I like going to those guys because that's their business. And like the one I mentioned earlier, Replay Toys, he's got 2 stores. He's got one at Hendersonville. That's where I got this shirt. You see the figures
nice.
on? Yeah. I go there because he's got stuff. I do all their repairs for their He-Man and their G.I. Joe figures too. So I'm kind of partial to them. But I mean, we just go over and constantly looking, always looking, because you never know.
Yeah. That's something that I sorely missed these past, I guess it was 2008. Came to live New York permanently, so I've had no exposure to any of those sort of shops. And like I said earlier, when we went walking a few weeks back and I found the charity shop, I thought, oh, please let me find something amazing in this bag of toys, and nothing whatsoever. But I'm still torn between maybe getting a car again or holding off until this whole COVID thing is over and we can travel to Thailand to look at property, because I just know that I cannot spend another year being stuck here, because the fact is, since this whole COVID thing started, I haven't actually left a 2-mile radius from the house here. It really sucks. And it was pretty tough over winter there. But now that we're getting the nicer weather, I really want to be able to get out and see things again. And, not having private transport. I've not had a car for 2 years now. And I'm thinking, you know what, I need to really explore a bit more, because it's become torture almost being stuck here.
If you come to Indiana with us, you might not leave, because Kokomo is the greatest place. Yeah, and there's a bunch of places in Indiana. There's one called the Toy Drop, and that whole community there is just fantastic. We were in the Toy Drop. She gave me a list of all the other places that do the same thing.
Wow!
So they're all like interconnected.
Yeah.
So I mean, I probably spent $1,500 the last time we went to Indiana.
Yeah. Oh, I could imagine myself just going crazy, just seeing things for sale. And the funny thing is, I do get a lot of vivid dreams about a number of different things, but I have actually had dreams about going toy hunting. I think it's because I want to do it so badly that it's in the back of my mind.
You're willing yourself to do it. That's what that's what it is. You're willing yourself to do it.
Yeah.
Like I found the hollow tube Tusken Raider sand people at Kokomo.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean they've got, the last time I was there, they had the USS Flag in the box. They had like 3 of them still in the
Wow.
box. I mean, that's where you gonna see that at?
Yeah.
Only a specialty place like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they have everything. They have an online store. Everybody can check that out.
Right. Yeah.
I love that
That's the
place.
thing. That's the thing as well. I mentioned in this chat before that there have been there's been instances in the recent past where I've been in situations where there's been tons of toys for sale and I wasn't interested then. So I'm just looking forward to getting back to Thailand and just seeing the Transformers, because like I said, it's only been the last 2 years I've been really back into toy collecting. And I haven't been anywhere in those 2 years that had a great selection to look at. And the fact of the matter is, where we are in Brooklyn, there are no Walmarts. There are no, well, there might be a Target opening soon, hopefully, which would be something at least. Not that I'm necessarily looking to collect modern stuff, but just the chance to go somewhere and see toys for sale would be nice.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be able to travel again. Although, ironically, we got notification that my wife and I are now eligible for the vaccine, which is all good and well, but there are no appointments available. So, been checking the Walgreen app, 10 times a day, absolutely nothing. And they've reduced it to anyone 16 and over. So now they've just added to the number of people looking for the same appointments. So who knows? It's certainly a different world than it was 2 years ago. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, before the world got the clout.
Yeah. So I had that. Probably something we were talking about. The stock car smash up. Yep. What part of Thailand will you live in? Well, that's the thing. So my wife, she and her family are from Bangkok, but I'm looking at Hoi Hin because it's down by the coast, by the sea, much quieter lifestyle, and even cheaper than Bangkok, which in itself is cheap enough. So either Bangkok or Hoi Hin, one of the two. Did you have the VW Beetle? No, I did not. Although I think they still make them to this day. They're not quite as Beetle-like as they used to be, but it's still a pretty unique-looking car. Here we go. Oztrack. What has been your success at finding vintage items out in the wild, garage sales, Facebook Marketplace? eBay is just tiring to deal with. Yeah. Well, I've had no success, but Anthony, you've had a ton of success out in the wild.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having better luck going out and just finding this stuff, because I don't know if it's just people are just they're ready to just to intermingle with people and they want to cut deals just to get rid of stuff because they've been sitting on it for a while. I don't know, but if they're going to sell it for cheap, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, eBay. Well, that's the thing. Even until maybe a year or two back, eBay wasn't quite so bad. But since eBay started cutting sales tax, and then the shipping rates have obviously gone up again, it's not as good as it used to be, unfortunately. I actually used to use eBay a lot just for buying normal household items to avoid paying sales tax. Simple things, shampoo, deodorant, kitchen paper, rather than pay the sales tax at Walgreens or whatever, just buy it off eBay. But now that's gone. And as we said, buying from overseas, it's almost just not worth it now with the price of shipping. I think someone told me the reason the shipping is so high is that they're now taking into account the potential import fees you may have had to have paid previously. So now when the item gets shipped, say from the UK, it just goes straight from the UK postal service straight into the US postal service and delivered, where previously it was going to those I guess, import destinations, and they would determine whether or not you had to pay import taxes. But as now the reason the shipping is so high is that tax has already been paid. But who knows?
You never know.
You never know. Did you guys have any of the Tamiya RC cars? No, I've not heard of those.
I don't think I never heard of that.
No, but the Sand Scorcher does sound pretty cool. Graham is saying yes. DJ Mark, I'm assuming he's talking about in Thailand. Yep. What's this? Aren't you afraid you'll get closed in Thailand with nowhere to go? Not really, because I'm currently closed in with nowhere to go. I think as well, I'm in a weird situation where I no longer have any. Well, I have family in the UK still, but I'm a US citizen, so I think if I were to move to the UK, I may have to go through a whole process to become a UK citizen again. And in Thailand, I've been there enough times to know that I do feel the happiest when I'm there. So I think it'd be okay. And he's saying nice beaches. Oh yeah, very nice. And better than Pattaya. Oh yeah, Pattaya is horrible. That's where all the Western people go to party and pick up ladies of the night, shall we say? So I'm very lucky in that when I go to Thailand, I get to go places that Thai people go. So I've never been to the tourist spots. So I've always been with my wife and her family take me to the places they would go to, which is so much nicer, much more laid back. I'm not big on the party scene. Although I do enjoy a drink. I'm not into the flashing lights and rave music stuff.
I can live with all of it.
Yeah.
With it.
Shabby saying this stream is great, really good chat. Oh well, thank you.
Thank you.
Jibber Jabber Dean, if you moved, you continue. Oh, absolutely. In fact, I think it would take off even further because there's so many things in Thailand that are still somewhat decades behind us in America. For example, I remember as a kid when my mom would take me clothes shopping, the mannequins in the clothing stores had glass eyeballs and hair, actual hair for eyelashes and things. Do you remember those? Yeah, well, they still have those in Thailand.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, when I was there the first time, the first thing I saw, I said, oh my God, I remember those when I was a kid, because nowadays it's all these like faceless modern art sculpture mannequins.
Yeah.
No, it was great to see mannequins with real hair and glass eyes. Oh, it's fantastic. Plus, as I mentioned, the toy scene there is just fantastic. And I think also, given its proximity to Japan, they are getting all the coolest toys before we get them in America.
That would definitely help.
Yeah. Who had the Evil Knievel motorbike? I did. Oh,
I still got it.
Yep. That is still one of the greatest toys ever made. It was just the power it could generate and could go for miles, could jump. It was the highest jumping toy I had.
Yep. And you couldn't break it.
Indestructible. No.
I mean,
no.
Unless it got ran over by a car, it would still be functioning.
Oh yeah. I remember mine. Sure, it was all scuffed and scraped, but it still functioned as it was supposed to years after owning it. Solid construction. So is Bangkok really like in that song, the world being your oyster? Yeah. Yeah.
Is that Falco?
Yeah. I've been to a lot of the islands. Yeah, I've not actually, although I would like to. Although again, I'm not really a beach person. I would much rather be by the pool I guess I'm like Anakin Skywalker in that I find sand to be. I don't like sand too much. Do you folks remember the 24-inch tall Shogun Warrior plastic figure? Yeah, I don't recall that.
Oh, they're the big Mazinger and Dragoon. They had a fist that you punch and then hit a button and the fist would fly off and
oh wow,
all kinds. I mean, those, and they were literally 24 inches tall. Those things were cool. Golly, things were.
Yeah, that's like, I think the biggest things I've seen lately were those, is it Jack specific Star Wars toys? Those things are, but those are like just, but they're like hollow plastic junk.
Yeah,
I've seen them in the local dollar store once, and I think it was the Stormtrooper from either Rebels cartoon or Rogue One, because its helmet didn't quite look right to me for some reason. So I thought, you know what, I don't need anything that big, and it doesn't even look that good. And when I gave it a tap, it was that really cheap hollow plastic. Who was a Monkey Magic fan? Oh, absolutely. Now, do you remember that show, Anthony?
I've heard
a Japanese.
You talk about it. I've heard Tony at Analog Toys talk about it.
Yeah,
but
it was
not familiar with it.
It was a weird, campy, somewhat martial arts adventure show from the 70s in Japan, and it used to be shown on the BBC. I think BBC Two possibly. And all us at school used to watch it, and then we try and reenact the battles in the playground. It was fantastic stuff. And there, speak of the devil. Love Monkey Magic. Hey, Tony. Thanks for tuning in. Very nice. Dude. Yeah, I'm guessing it's early morning there in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But Monkey Magic was one of these things where one of the characters, I think, his weapon was like a gardening rake. It was the weirdest thing. But a fantastic show. Also, a puppet called Starfleet. I don't remember that. Yeah, but I also remember in the UK, all the TV shows, they had weird running times. Like, as you know, in America, every show is either 30 minutes or an hour. Whereas the UK would have TV shows that were 17 minutes long, and the next show would follow immediately afterwards. So I remember BBC Two in particular, around about 6 p.m.-ish, would show various classic, like they would have the classic black and white Godzilla, the old Flash Gordon, and of course Monkey Magic was one of those shows. And they were just like great adventure shows for kids to watch, and then we'd all watch them, and the following day in school we'd just reenact what we'd seen the night before. So fantastic stuff. It's Tim saying hi to Tony. It is just stopping by having the morning coffee. Oh, well, thank you for tuning in. Yeah. Monkey was on about 6 p.m. There you go.
There you go.
So yeah, I think it's probably on YouTube. You really
I'm gonna have to check that out.
I mean, bearing in mind, watching it as an adult doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So you can imagine when we were 10 years old, we had no idea what the story was, but the fight scenes were what it was all about. And Monkey used to travel on his own little cloud. He would summon this cloud, he would jump up and he would ride on this cloud. It was just the wackiest stuff, but a lot of fun to watch.
I still watch all the stuff from the 80s. I make my girlfriend watch all the 80s movies.
Yeah,
she's 10 years younger than me, so I gotta get her caught up.
Yeah, you know, I actually just caught up on the original first season of Transformers, which was so good because despite having watched it back in 84, 85, I had no memory whatsoever of the cartoon. So I was able to watch it completely fresh. And a couple of things struck out at me was the fact that, one, you have to completely suspend your disbelief because some of the sequences were just so ridiculous. Like, for example, Soundwave going from this huge towering robot to a Walkman this size. And, same with Megatron becoming the gun that would fit into...
To Starscream's hand,
Yeah.
That was always weird. That the scale stuff always threw me off too. But I enjoyed the cartoon. And the He-Man cartoon was my absolute favorite.
Well, that's
one of the artists from Filmation, Robert Lamb, is a friend of mine, and he lives in Nashville.
Oh, nice.
So when we do shows and stuff, he's usually there. So we get to talk to him, and he let me talk to Tom Cito, which was another Filmation artist, and Tom Cook, which was another Filmation artist. And I sold Tom Cook a Snake Mountain playset.
Oh.
So I got to sell somebody who drew the He-Man cartoon a Snake Mountain playset.
Wow.
He said that he's got Grayskull in his room where he draws, and he don't have a Snake Mountain. I said, so he gave me $20 for it, and I said, man, I'll even mail it to you. So I sent it to him for free just to have that connection, because I wanted to give back to him for everything that he did for me.
Yeah.
Tom, Robert, and the other Tom signed a script for me and everything. Man, those are stand-up guys. They're so great.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you, Tony, from another Tony.
Yeah, so that's one thing about another cartoon that I'm going to go back and watch is, in fact, He-Man, which I watched religiously as a kid, but I have no memory of it whatsoever. So it's another one I'm going to be able to enjoy completely fresh. And same probably with Mask. Watch that as a kid, do not remember it at all. So I've got a lot of catching up to do, but it's always nice to have a series that I can go to each night to watch a couple of episodes. Transformers, it's like 22 minutes an episode, so you can watch a couple a night, not take up too much time. So it's
I think
really nice.
I want to say on Tubi, if you have like Roku on Tubi channel, there's a bunch of Transformer stuff on there.
Yeah. So Marky watched it back in the cinema back in '85.
Oh wow,
nice. And Graham he's halfway through watching the G1 cartoon. Yeah, so I finished season 1 and I began watching season 2, and then the first episode, which I think was called Autobot Spike, again, totally ridiculous scenario where we've seen various scenes of destruction and whatnot in the cartoon in season 1, and everyone comes out of it unscathed. Well, in season 2, Bumblebee has a slight rollover, causing Spike to end up in a coma or something. It's like, come on, he's managed to survive all of what happened in season 1, and then Bumblebee rolls over, and that's Spike out in a coma. Come on.
Well, it's like the movie. All through the cartoon series, they're getting shot and blown up, and it's nothing. Yeah. And then in the movie, Optimus gets shot and then he's dead.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is. It really is. And there's Thundercats another one that I've watched but don't remember. So yeah, I think in all honesty,
Brave Star too.
Yeah, in all honesty, I've got hours upon hours of potential viewing material. It's just trying to find the time to watch it all, because I don't know about you, but the older I get, the faster time is moving, and I'm amazed that already we're into April of 2021. It feels like Christmas was like at most 2 weeks ago. It's frightening, actually. It's
the further we get away from 2020, I'm happy with. So I'm good with.
Yeah.
See, I like Brave Star, and then I like Black Star. If you've never seen it either, that's another film. They're on YouTube, but it's kind of the same premise.
Yeah, so we got, did you fellas know about the flowering seeds inside 1 in 50 Skeletor figures?
Nope, never heard of that.
Don't know what that is. Interesting. And Mr. King says, what do both of you think of modern Transformer movies or TV series? Do they have the same buzz? No, not for me.
Not for me. Well, no. they keep trying to do it.
Yeah.
They keep like doing new stuff, trying to capture that original magic. And they never can catch it.
No.
That's just, it'd be nice for somebody to come up with an original idea and go for, just something totally new and put it out to see if it goes.
Yeah.
But I think everybody's scared to fail.
Yeah.
Now.
Pretty much. And Jibber Jabber. The channel Spectra Creative has a video explaining the rattling of the seeds. Okay, need to check that out. Quite interesting. So that's us hit the 2-hour mark. Wow. So that's completely flown by. So before we end this, I'm going to ask Anthony, I don't believe, do you do any videos yourself on YouTube?
No, I don't. No, I do. I was going to ask you, how do you keep up with all your figures? Do you you just write everything down, or do you got like an app that you use?
No, it's just
keep it up in here. Well, I do some content creative for it's on an iPhone. I don't know if you have an iPhone.
Yeah, I do.
Toy Collector 3. I'm a content creator on there, and then hobbydb.com. I was a content creator on there for a little while too.
Right.
And Figure Realm is another one online where you can keep up with your stuff, because I've got so much stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Keep up with. So I'm like, well, I don't. Do I have that? Or because I sent you one of the Iron Man figures from Secret Wars, because I thought I didn't have it, and I've got like 4 of them.
I see. I think for me, I just know what I don't have at this point, which is the 3 remaining Power of the Force. But certainly, if I had like a collection the size of yours, I would definitely need something to keep reference as to what I have and don't have. But we've got a few more comments to squeeze in here. So, what advice would you both have for somebody trying to complete a collection to buy any of the last 17?
Be patient.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can luck up on it. Like, I looked up on some the other day. But you just got to be patient. And then actually set yourself a price limit that you won't go over, and I stick with that. Yeah.
I think my advice would be, if you're of a similar opinion to me that you don't mind repro, something like Stan Solo has a lot of the figures you're looking for a very good price, and you are getting brand new, minty fresh, complete figures for a much, much lower price than trying to buy them used. So Jibber Jabber, so he shakes every Skeletor in Walmart. Great. So well, thanks, Dave. And Shabby. Anthony was a great guest. Absolutely. Yeah. So I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you, Anthony, for coming on. And again, thank you for the amazing donations you've sent to me. It's just so humbling to receive these.
I'm not done. Because you were needing a Warrock, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I got one for you. So I'll put this in the mail soon. So that will cut down on your collection.
Wow.
So I told you I was going to find one. Yeah.
Wow. Unbelievable. Thank you so much.
So
amazing.
I appreciate the opportunity to get and talk to toys. I love doing this stuff. So
yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get you back on and we can get a group of us
that'd be
chatting
fantastic.
At some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just wonderful to get people of a similar age and similar experiences to talk about these things. So yeah. So I want to say again, thank you for coming on. Thank you for making this a great stream. And thank you to everyone who has watched, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And we'll see you next time looking at all things 80s.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.